Hello and welcome to Birth Time, the podcast. Following the success of our world-renowned and international award-winning film, Birth Time, the documentary, we are coming back together to explore a wide variety of topics around pregnancy, birth and postpartum. As a way of exploring topics in great depth, we will be covering one topic over several episodes, bringing you up-to-date evidence-based information from academics, practitioners and birth workers, as well as stories and lived experiences from birthing women and people and their families. We will also have interludes with people we interviewed in Birth Time the documentary, finding out where life has taken them since the creation of the film. Join your hosts, home birth midwife Jo Hunter and doula and birth photographer Jerusha Sutton as we delve deep into the world of growing and birthing babies. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our very first episode of Birth Time, the podcast. We are so happy to finally be here. I am Jerusha Sutton, and I'm here with Jo Hunter, my co-host. And we've been working on this idea for quite some time, so it's really beautiful that we are finally coming live to you. Now, this idea of a podcast was born out of where do we go after we have made this documentary that has gone around the world and touched so many people and had an effect in so many places. But we really wanted to stay present and stay current and to keep providing current information to the beautiful people that we've connected with. And so we decided that this was the place to start. And where else to start than to have our amazing friend Mel Briggs from Waminda as our very first guest.
The first?
Yeah.
Oh, deadly.
I know, right?
That's exciting. What made you decide that this is the first?
Who else? Hello.
Okay.
Look,
I'm very honoured. I'm very honoured. Thank you.
Maybe we should start here by introducing you, Mel. So Melanie Briggs is an Aboriginal woman and midwife and a mum of two gorgeous kids. Mel and I first met when we were studying the Bachelor of Midwifery together in 2007 at UTS in Sydney. She also holds a Masters of Primary Maternity Care from Griffith University. For those who haven't watched Birth Time, the documentary, Mel works at Waminda, which is a women's health and welfare Aboriginal corporation. She works there as a midwife and the Birthing on Country Project officer. She's passionate and works tirelessly to improve the health and well-being of her people. As the Birthing on Country Project officer at Waminda, she is responsible for coordinating the Shoalhaven Birthing on Country model from a community perspective to ensure the community voices are being heard and put into practice. Mel is an absolute legend and an all-round awesome human. How about you take over here, Mel, and tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Mel Briggs and I'm a Dharawal and Gumbaynggirr descendant, so I'm a saltwater and freshwater woman and I live on the lands of the Marmarang people down here on the south coast in Inaugural. And I'm very fortunate enough to know you two beautiful women, and thank you very much for bringing me here today. And I feel like a lot has happened in the last 5 years. So I think the last time we spoke, it was there was only 2 midwives in our team at Waminda.
Mm-hmm.
And we have now grown to 14 in our team.
Wow.
It's huge. We have a really big team, which is great. And, you know, we have, endorsed midwives. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 endorsed midwives in our team, and child and health nurses, Aboriginal health practitioner. So our team is amazing.
Can we just backtrack a second? What I would love to give is people who have seen the film or haven't, give them a broad stroke of Waminda and what it has been and what you are working towards, just as a broad overview.
Yeah. Waminda is an amazing Aboriginal women-led community-controlled health organisation that sits on on the lands of the Wandandian, Dharawal, Gumbaynggirr, and Wandandian peoples in Nowra. So it's a pretty amazing service. It's 40 years in Aboriginal women leadership this year. And we are led by a beautiful board of management of strong Aboriginal women. And we also have an executive team who lead our organisation of Aboriginal women and also a non-Aboriginal woman. And the senior Aboriginal women that sit and support that executive. So you'll think about, so just giving you an indication, most organisations are CEO-led. We're not. As Aboriginal women, we lead together in circular. So it's like the 4 women, the 5 women sit in circle and they lead the organisation and are supported by the senior Aboriginal women to support the operations of the organisation. So it's all Aboriginal women. And, it's a pretty amazing organisation to work in. Like, I'm never leaving. I've told them they have to drag me out. But it's just a place where we've got over 32 programs in the organisation. We've got over 150 staff. 80% are Aboriginal women. We have some Aboriginal men that work in the organisation as well, in the men's programs and the young Gumbaynggirr, which is the youth program, the boys' youth program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty big, actually. We always honour the old women that started the organisation, and it's an honour to just fulfil their dreams. It's really like there's a purpose, there's a vision. They had a vision and they had a purpose, and we're just continuing that for them because they've either passed or they're at that point now where they're just like, the fight, it's not over, but they just need to sit back now and enjoy what they've created. So we're just moving forward with their vision. And we in our program we look after. So we've got it's the Birthing on Country program, and we provide. In the start, we were only doing antenatal and postnatal care.
Which is where it was at when we first met. Yeah. Well, when we first interviewed, not when we first met. And I think, you were talking about wanting to get a space that was specific to for the pregnant women and children, and then also potentially building some sort of birthing on country centre. So where are you at with that?
Well, we have our little gunya. It's in Nowra. It's a little 3-bedroom clinic. 3-room clinic. We converted it from a house to a clinic, and we've already outgrown that. And the birth centre is in the process of going through to the DA in the next couple of weeks. So we have the journey of just finding. Well, I thought buying land was the easiest part of building a birth centre, but it's actually turned out to be the hardest. So
why is that?
You've got to have a certain zoning, and you've got to have people willing to sell to us, because there's a lot of racism out there where people don't want to actually give back the land or sell back the land even. Yeah, and it's a thing. It's been quite challenging, and the design in the initial phases of the birth centre was, we were just trying to fit culture within a space, and it's like that's not how it's meant to be. We've had 3 different sites picked in the past, and they've all fallen through, and now we have a Waminda precinct, and it's like 20,000 square meters. Like, it's quite. There's lots of land. It's like the old people just went, nah, you don't want that. You don't need that. wait for this, just wait, it's coming. And now it's here. So it's like now we're just fitting into the land, really, and birthing on country with stuff there if you need it, sort of thing. So it's probably, I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So in the film, Mel, we've got footage of a model that you had made of the Dream Birth Centre. Has that vastly changed since then?
It has changed massively. And the first design was created by a man. And I remember saying, well, no, we need a fireplace in there. He says, oh, well, it's not good for the environment. And I said, don't talk to me like that. It's part of culture. It needs to happen. You're not good for the environment, obviously. Anyway, but we have fireplaces in our new birth centre.
Of course you do.
And we have water, and we have everything that we need to be able to, like we have a ceremony twice a year now, where you obviously know you recorded our very first one back in
magical.
How many years ago was that? It was like 8 years or something. Long time. And so like moving into this next phase, every birth will be ceremony. There'll be the fire going at every single birth. Like it's like literally.
Seriously.
Yeah, we don't have to have this one day a year, and when if people can't make it, they can't make it, and it's really, some people miss out, and babies need this, and mothers need it, and our aunties and our elders, so every birth is a ceremony, and it will be a ceremony. And the birth centre is actually going to facilitate those moments. And
so how has it been? Because obviously when we talked to you before and interviewed you before, you didn't have any funding. So what's happened with that? I mean, obviously we went to Parliament House with you and filmed some of that process.
We've done so much together. Hey?
I know we have. There's much more to come. I feel.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. There is a lot
to resume.
So where are things at with getting the funding to get all this off the ground?
Well, before the Labor government come in, Aunty Linda Burney actually made a commitment to birthing on country, and committed 22 million to build a birth centre. And there's that federal and that state sort of, and we lobbied for a long time, as you know, to the government to say, well, this is our argument, and this is what we need, this is what the women are saying we need, and these are the evidence, and this, so I feel like a couple of things have led to that. So definitely Aunty Linda Burney becoming the first Indigenous female minister for the country. That was a celebration for all of us. And then, receiving that capital grant, or that money from the federal government to build the birth centre. And then I think that sort of opened the doors then for the state to come in and say, well, what's it going to cost us? Pretty much. What's it going to cost us to support the operations for Birthing on Country model of care program? And we've basically developed a whole, what's it called? It's called a business case, I guess. And the business case forecasted for the next 10 years on the number of babies that we are expecting to birth on our country. And we put forward, the positions, but all of the positions are based on the growth of the community and the population. So when you look at other ways of, seeking funding and things like that, it's based on your FTE and what what services the service can provide, rather than going, okay, well, what's actually needed out in the community and what's the growth and how we're going to support the growth, rather than how we're going to keep supporting the income that I'm going to receive because I can't see certain. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yep.
Hey there, Zoe Naylor here from the Birth Time team. Have you seen Birth Time the documentary yet? Having taken home over 22 international awards, this film explores what it would take for all women to emerge from their births physically well and emotionally safe. This film is more relevant now than ever. Just head to birthtime.world and you can stream it directly to any screen or device for just $14.99 Australian dollars. Now it's back to the podcast.
So financially, we submitted that to our local health district, and we've been fortunate enough to receive funds for the next 10 years. Actually, I'll step back from that. The Department of Health, the Federal Department of Health, also funded us for 3 years to establish the Birthing on Country program and employ our midwives to start intrapartum care at the hospital. So that's been the journey leading up to the next. That's the first 3 years, and then the next 7 years is our state.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So right now, you said there's 7 endorsed midwives, and then but 14 midwives all up. Was it
not 14 midwives? So it's 7 endorsed, 1 that's not endorsed, and then the other staff there's research, and there's also women's reproductive, sexual health, and child and family health.
Right. Okay. So you've got 7 endorsed midwives that are providing care to women in the community. And are they birthing with? Has that started? The births actually started in the hospital with you guys as their providers?
Next month. We are doing it next month.
Great. Okay.
And we are the first. Waminda are the first Aboriginal community-controlled health organisation in the country to employ the endorsed midwife under their insurance and admit women under Waminda employed midwives. So
amazing.
You're breaking new ground, Mel Briggs, aren't you?
Yeah, well, people, it has to be done because it's the only way that our women will be able to feel safe in an institution, in a colonised birthing place that, currently and in the past our babies have been taken and our babies and mothers have died. So, we're protecting them in this model as well. We're getting there. I feel like we've been at births with our women, but not as the primary midwife. We've been there as a support. So one of the girls in our team, she works up at the hospital as well part-time, and her and I have done some beautiful births together, and the women have actually said it's not like any other birth that they've ever seen or had. So, that, and it's funny, like just talking about that birth, there was no noise. It was silent. Yeah, there was, and we didn't speak we didn't need to speak. We just looked at each other and just knew, like it was like, yeah. And like just thinking back after it, like we always talk about it, and we just knew that we needed to be in certain places in the room and move out and move in, move out, move in, and do things when we needed to. And I needed to do things when she needed to step out, and it just.
But that is the beauty of continuity of care, like really knowing the woman and really knowing the person that you're working with as well, the other midwife.
Yeah.
And so much of it is unnecessary. You don't need it. It's so much of it's unnecessary. It's just about actually just being present, isn't it?
Just being present.
Yeah. And by just being present, you work out what needs to happen.
Yeah. And how safe is that? Like, how safe does that feel just saying that? Like,
no other distractions.
It's such a different way of working, and until you experience it either as a woman birthing or as a midwife or birth worker working in that environment, it's very hard to understand what is the difference. It's like we're part of this secret little club that knows something, and until you've experienced it, you don't actually really know it, and it's really hard to explain. That's why it's been so difficult to get any of this stuff off the ground, I feel, because people just don't get it.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's right. And, you know, like, I mean, we're finding a couple of things, you know, just recently around, you know, with the birth trauma inquiry and, you know, all the birth injuries and stuff like that. And I don't know what made me have a look. I shouldn't have, just went down a rabbit hole. But anyway, the guidelines for obstetricians, they're not accountable from 48 hours post-birth. Like, I feel like that's a big gap, you know, because if they're not being made accountable, then they won't really, I mean, the injury that they cause, that it's not in their guidelines to actually provide the care to look after what they've actually done. So it's like, well, hold on a minute. That needs to be fixed.
But it also makes it that there's not a opportunity for reflection either.
Yeah.
I mean, reflective practice is so important.
Absolutely.
It's how we all learn, you know.
Yeah.
And it makes it so that there's no opportunity for that, which is such a rich place to be able to learn from every birth that you're at.
But isn't it lovely to learn that stuff? Like, you just go, oh, I actually didn't do that very well. I'm going to make sure I do that properly next time.
Absolutely.
It's so not a bad thing. And I don't know why people are so objective to that. Anyway,
defensive.
That was a side thing thought. But
we could talk about that as a whole other podcast.
I've got 10 things going through my head that I want to say about that. But.
Sorry. But yeah, no. Yeah, it's just I just can't wait for the first baby to be born in the birth centre.
Yeah.
So
I'm already there. I'm already there in my mind.
What's the timing on that, Mel?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is good.
That'll
fly.
Well, look at 5 years. That's
right.
Yeah, absolutely. So just in terms of how you've worked it in terms of Medicare, being able to get Medicare funding, because everywhere else in the country, a woman has to be under the name of an obstetrician in order for that service to recover the funding. So have you managed to change that legislation in that the funding comes directly through midwives, or is it because you've got the collaborative agreement with the area health service that the Medicare funding comes through them?
I think it's because we're actually employed by an ARCHO.
Okay.
We're employed. So if you're employed, so similar to my midwives, they're employees and they're able to claim Medicare. So probably I was always under the impression that you could claim Medicare even if it was a GP with visiting rights to a hospital or that's GP obstetric trained, or just the GP.
So if you've got if the woman had, the way it works with privately practicing midwives that are offering home birth services is that if you've got a referral from a GP, well, you need a referral. I believe they're going to be removing
at the moment you do, but
that's going to be removed soon, I think. That requirement, which is good because it actually keeps GPs as the gatekeepers of women's choice, which is not appropriate, because I know in our work that lots and lots of GPs won't give referrals to women because they don't agree with their choice of home birth. So
no, they want to,
But so your women don't need to get GP referrals. It's all just part of the system, that there's no need to be going, okay, we need to get Medicare rebates.
Well, we already work with GPs in our service, so that's an automatic referral. So we would just
got it.
Yeah. So there's already GPs in our service.
Okay. Great. Wow. So
good. I know. Yeah.
Mel, look, why is it important for Indigenous women to have culturally safe care?
Well, women want to feel respected for the colour of their skin. It's pretty much, we are judged, we are an afterthought, we are never at the top of anyone's list when it comes to a colonised system. And that's what makes it unsafe. We're not involved in the development of anything that concerns us. It's always for us and about us without us. And that's what makes it unsafe. And, you know, I don't want people making decisions for me or my child that don't know my lived experience and, you know, what my child will have to grow up with, because they don't. So it's like, that to me is not safe. Like, that's just assuming and judging and saying, I know what's best for you. And that's what makes the system so unsafe, is that, well, you're okay. We're always looked at in a deficit lens, right? So people see us as a risk and a problem because the system wasn't made for us. And, you know, and that's why we always say we have the solutions. This is us speaking. We know how to support our women and our communities in community. So give us the money and we'll make it happen, which is what's happening right now for Wandandian country. And, you know, we're seen as just really smokers, drug addicts. Just, you know, I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. Like a glass of red wine every now and then, but who doesn't? You know, like, it's just that the negative thoughts of our people is, and sometimes it's that unconscious bias that really, some people just aren't aware that they're actually doing it, but it's happening. It's racist, and when people and people don't like to be called racist. No. I've noticed. But, you know, I think if people can just acknowledge their unconscious bias around their thoughts of who the person is walking through those doors, rather than stereotype and put us all into one box, it's sort of like, well, you know, that's a sort of, it's a better way of being a human and treating other humans. And yeah, I just feel like we don't have a big representation of our people in colonised spaces. And that's, hospital is one of them. Education is another. You know, like, we just don't have enough. And that's because of historical colonisation, right? Like, that's because we weren't allowed to have jobs. We were pushed out. We were put on missions. We weren't allowed to thrive, right? So that's actually impacted how we live today.
Yep.
And how we don't have assets. Our people, we don't have assets because it was stolen. So it's like, well, how do we change that? And how do we become a thriving community? Well, give us a job. We'll save the money. We'll buy a house. We'll look after, you know, we'll do that. Like, but we've never had that opportunity before. So this is that cultural safety of like, well, I can be completely self-sustainable in my community and thrive and look after myself and my family, and then I can also, you know, look after the people that walk through the doors that I have a lived experience and awareness and empathy of, and that's what makes it safe.
I love that.
We change birth, we change the world. I mean, if you change,
absolutely,
yeah, we do. Like, you know, you change it for women and we change it for those babies.
Yeah.
And that's the best way. That's the best place to start, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you pinch yourself, Mel? Do you just sit back sometimes and pinch yourself and just go, wow? I mean,
I don't pinch myself. I close my eyes and I think, oh, fuck, holiday. I don't need to have a holiday. But you can't. It's like, it's never ending.
Yeah.
But, you know, this what we're creating, what we're changing is maternity services for the country and even internationally. Like, we went to Canada and looked at them beautiful birth centres over there, and them women, like, oh, it's, yeah, we love Canada. And but unfortunately, the wraparound, they're not allowed to do the wraparound, is what, because So they have a really high child removal rate, which is really, really sad. And, you know, we're going to have the first model, international, I'm going to say it, it's going to be an international model of care that is going to improve maternity services across the world. That's just what it is, because we've done so many things to make change to get to this point. Like, we've had to change legislation twice, three times actually, and it's like, why does it have to be a fucking fight every 5 minutes? Like, it literally is like, it's a fight and it's tiring, but we have lots of amazing people keeping turning that wheel, you know, like, it's like, yep, okay, I'm going to pass the baton over today. I'm going to give you the message stick today, my sister, because I'm a bit tired. And that's what our executive do, and that's what our senior Balang women do. It's, yeah.
Women coming together and doing the work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Mel, my goodness. How I love you.
I'm blown away by
you
you.
guys. I miss you.
It's so good to see your face,
We
darling.
need to come for a visit.
Well,
Can
you
we
need to
come?
come down. Yes.
Yeah, we
Come
do.
down.
Bring the cameras.
Yep.
Bring the cameras. Meet the team.
Yeah.
I would love that. They would love that. You're the superstars, big birth time superstars.
Stop it. We're just lucky to have captured your magic. When we did, I think back to that first day sitting in that shed listening to those women's stories, and we were just blown away and humbled beyond anything. I was humbled beyond anything I'd ever experienced by that day. We came away changed, actually, from that day, I think. And to have watched you get to where you are now. God.
I know. It's like,
oh,
Mel.
It's so much, Mel. It's so
Mm.
much. You're amazing.
Well, we are amazing.
You and your team are amazing.
Yeah. It's hard, but it's worth it.
How are those women going to feel?
We've already, I've been having a yarn with the aunties about that, and, you know, it's going to be magic. We've been asked, well, why is your birth centre going to be so different? What makes your birth centre so different? I said, well, we've got the old girls that are going to be sitting there and just talking to the women, and, you know, the feeling is just, it's not the walls, and it's none of that. It's how you feel when you walk into a space and how you're loved and wrapped around, right? So you just think it's just going to be, I've had so many dreams about the first birth.
Well, we cannot wait to hear about it. We are going to come and visit you and capture some of this magic and hear your stories and follow you every step of the way.
We would love that. Yeah. I appreciate
you, Mel. That. Thank you for popping the cherry of Birth Time, the podcast. Love.
Popping the cherry.
We love you.
Solid. All right.
See you, gorgeous. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Hang on a minute. You thought we were done, didn't you? Well, we're not.
So since we interviewed Mel a couple of weeks ago, there's been some exciting things happen at Waminda. So we thought we'd just quickly jump back on and let her give us a brief update, because it's just a little bit too exciting to leave out of the podcast. So tell us, Mel, we're so excited.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me back to have a yarn. So we went live on the 1st of May for being on call for our mums to birth at Shoalhaven Hospital. Our first baby was born on the 20th of May. Zoe was there for the birth, and it's a really funny story actually. So that morning on the 20th of May, my brother's wife rings me, and because she was bingy, and she said, "Oh, Mel, I think I've broken my waters," and she wasn't due for another 3 weeks, and I said, "Oh, okay, all right," because I got a little 2-year-old at home, and I said, "Oh, well, I'll just I'll let work know that I won't be in today. I'll look after Tommy, and just worried about her and little Tommy." And anyway, and then I hung up, and I realised, holy shit, like literally the first baby for our on-call midwifery, Birthing on Country midwifery team is going to be my brother's baby. So literally like Arnie's baby.
Of course it is, of course.
And then yeah, it just hit me, and I was like, holy shit, this is just meant to be. Anyway, so she was born, and then we had another baby the same day. And then babies have just been coming ever since. So it's been a week now since we've had our first baby, and we've had 4.
Wow.
And it's amazing. Like, I literally can't tell you how exciting it is for the women, and for the babies to be born into peace and to the hands of women that have looked after their mother for their whole pregnancy. Like, it's literally it's healing, that that what we talk about all the time around the intergenerational trauma stuff. Like, it's so amazing. And I just can't believe we're finally here, like after all these years of 8 years of just sort of trying to get to this point, and now it's like a week in and we've already had 4 babies. It's like, holy shit. We have Poolamons that we've been gifting our mothers for babies that have come from the spirit world to the physical world, and they're being born onto them. There's other things that we need to start incorporating, but that that
it'll come.
The institution is a beast, and to try and implement change in those places is, as you know, this has just been 8 years, so of one step at a time.
They're being cared for by the sisterhood, huh?
Yeah, that's right. It's
It'll slowly change, Mel. I mean, you and your midwives will just show them the way.
Yeah, I think so. We had so many, negative and, people just say, no, you can't do that. You won't be able to do that. You only got 3 midwives. You can't do this. It's like, well, fucking watch us and look what we did. Like, seriously, we have, it's just when it's the right thing to do, good things happen. And I truly believe that that's what's happened now.
Just magic. I can't believe it was your little niece. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Little Banksy Kate. She's
beautiful.
She's just that lovely. Like, I literally love her.
It's
the oxytocin's oozing from you, Mel. It's absolutely oozing.
I just bite her every time I see her. I just love her.
Fabulous.
Congratulations, love. That's
thank you.
Huge update for us.
Yeah, well, we've been in this for a long time, and it's big. It's big.
How's everyone feeling? Like, what's the general sort of vibe of the midwives at Waminda?
Well, how it's been. It's like every time a milestone happens, it's like, okay, what next? And I feel like there's too many babies coming at the minute to just sit back and go, holy moly, look what we've just done, But I think once the wave of, or the influx of birthing slows down a little bit, we might be able to sit back and go, yeah, I mean,
it never slows down, Mel.
No, look, we sat down with the exec last week when we first had our 2 babies, and just celebrated that win, like that's a milestone for our mothers and our babies, and the work that we've all put in to sort of like just to I don't know, just to be there, I suppose, because birth happens, hey, we're just there in case they need us, and that's what's happening. So it's amazing. Yeah, truly is.
They feel safe. There we go.
Fabulous, love. Fabulous.
Congratulations, love.
Yeah,
Keep
absolutely.
it up.
Huge congrats to everybody.
Thank
I
you.
mean, well done. You're
Yeah.
here. You're doing it. It's happening.
I know. It's just, it's hard to believe, like I've had we've all had a big, well, obviously we've had a few big years, like it's been 8 years, but like since we got it over the line on the 1st of May, like just leading up to that 1st of May kickoff day, it was just, pushback after pushback, like pushback after pushback. And, we just got sick of being pushed back all the time. It's like, come on now, it's time. Our women and our babies need us there. It's literally time. We can no longer wait, because, the birth trauma inquiries, it's all coming out. The recommendations are there. Birthing on Country is, on the list of recommendations, and now we're actually doing it. And I can't wait until we have the evaluation and, the research and all this stuff to back it, because we know that it works. It's just a matter of fucking let us get in there and do our jobs, and that's pretty much what we've had to do. So yeah, it's pretty deadly.
So deadly. Amazing.
Congrats,
amazing.
love. Go catch some more babies, huh?
Oh, it's not me. I'm just there, just keep going,
Cheering them on.
pushing from behind. Come on.
And that's a wrap. You can check out the show notes to find websites, books, research articles, social media handles, and general information about each of our podcast guests. Thank you to our fabulous birth time sisters, Zoe Naylor and Selena Scoble, for supporting the creation of this podcast behind the scenes. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to follow or subscribe to Birth Time the podcast. Leave us a review and a rating, and please, we'd really love it if you'd share it amongst your friends and networks. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Birthtime World, and our website birthtime.world, where you can also stream and watch our international award-winning film, Birthtime the Documentary. You can find out more about me, Jo Hunter, and my midwifery work at midwifejo.com.au, and more about Jerusha Sutton and her gorgeous photography and doula work at jerusha.com.au. And thank you to you, our beautiful Birth Time family, for tuning in to Birth Time the podcast. We really do appreciate you all so, so much. Until next time.